the crypto market as a whole is moving. You see that the market is around 6% up. There are still assets doing 20-25% to the upside. So now you get the point that money is entering the market. And if you are looking for growth, you are looking how to grow your money. So you do have opportunities. Then if you're observing different assets correctly, you are like, okay, we have macro patterns developing and the price is respecting that. So there is no call for a bear market, right? Unless you break that and retest and go below that. Now you look at different patterns which we had a month back, and right now it actually seems like we broke through and we are going towards our target range, right? Different assets show you different possibilities. I do agree on that one, but we are reaching those targets right now. You get the point, right? That means you are not in a bear market. If you are in a bear market, you won't be getting this. So what if you are in a bull market? That's the case. This one is the case. This is a bull market. You look at the macro pattern here. It is a weekly chart for the altcoins. And at the bottom, what you're looking at is the RSI, the relative strength index. So the strength actually shows you a pattern which we call falling wedge. Falling wedges usually break to the upside with 60-65% of probability. Now take that into consideration and then you move on to look at different assets, say one of which our favorite, XRP. What are we doing now? Are we completely bullish? No, not yet. We'll have to see what happens, because right now it's coming back down and then it's bouncing, right? So the bounce here would most likely be the retest of this broken level and the moving average. Because when you go look at a lot of different assets here, you can actually observe like, okay, we were following this particular pattern in Bitcoin. Then we saw like, okay, we are moving inside that. And now, when people say we are going to go down, break this pattern to the downside, we were saying unless we break that, we are not speculating we are going to break to the downside. And what happened? At one point, we were like, okay, the RSI is breaking to the upside. The price did not break higher. I agree. But the RSI suggested that we are breaking to the upside. That's why I was like, okay, this is going to happen most likely. And then what happened? The market decides to break to the upside. Why? Because the indicators does like what they should do. They indicate what the market is about to do. And when the market actually performs like these, you are observing a pattern and you follow that pattern to reach that end. Now, inside that pattern, if you're breaking through, great. What are you looking at? You are looking for a run to the upside. Now, that pattern happens to be moving above the moving average on a daily. Now that is important there to show the change in trend within that pattern. So you still have 20-25% to the upside to reach the standard deviation level of resistance. Look at the indicators. MACD is turning positive. RSI is already positive. So now you look at different charts for different assets. All of these which I'm talking about are macro assets. Bitcoin, XRP, Ether. People are moving their money in, and you can observe that in the volume. You can observe that in the indicators if you are looking at them perfectly. Because when you see the market move 40% here, that's the average altcoin market. Because when you go back here, as I started with, market moves 5%, some of them move way higher than that, right? So it's your choice to be inside this market to make 200% within this pattern. And if you break to the upside, that's this one. Even if you manage to get into this market and get exposure in this market, you are going to make at least half of the average of that, because things are changing and they are changing quickly right now. Because if this goes into one state, a blue state, then it's going to slowly go into others as well. And when you see stuff like this, think Twitter. The NFT space, the metaverse space is gaining a lot of attention. And if you have dropped 92%, wow, in my opinion, that would be a good area to buy in and accumulate, because you are going to go through a bull market. Now, which asset goes up? I don't know. You'll have to do your research. But if you listen to Raul, you'll actually get that idea too. So, real vision is an area where you can get the macro stuff from the macro trader. So keep that in mind. And for XRP holders, this is all good, all bullish. We've talked about this many times, and this is now coming out from Nasdaq. You get to read this, you read through this, and you kind of understand, okay, that means we don't need US, but a clarity inside US will give you a boost. So let's see what these short time charts showcases. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. I know the market is starting to move and people are looking for opportunities, and that's when we talk about this stuff here. This is going to change some lives for sure. Now, why am I saying that? When you are in this market, which is going to trend to the upside soon, and you have opportunities coming in all the way, now what you have to do is position yourself understanding the pattern. So if you do understand this pattern here, you're like, okay, this is the pattern, this is the measured move, and I'm going to reach here. Fine, you got that right. Clear. Now again, similar stuff. You look at these patterns, you look at the indicators. Okay, indicator broke to the upside, it's consolidating, it may have a cup and handle pattern here. That's all good, that's all fine. I'm entering. Now what happened? You got that cup and handle pattern in here in the indicators. Now, cup and handle is a rounded bottom pattern. Even inverse head and shoulder is a rounded bottom pattern. Just it takes a bit more time. So with patience, what happens? You reach your target. So if you can understand pattern, if you can understand the price action, trend, and combine all of this, you are going to be good. But I understand when you're trading, the risk is high and you need a lot more time to study the market before you jump in. But if you do get an exposure inside this, even if you don't get that 57x here, now understand 574x here, you're getting, say for example, 100x movement in this market. Great. Even if you get 25x, that's huge. If you have a portfolio of $1,000, that's going to move into $25,000. That's not a small change. And if you are there with 10,000, that's bigger. If you are there with 100,000, that's much bigger. And if you are there with a million, 10 million, this is going through the roof. So now, you look at XRP and you're like, okay, we've seen that one. We understood this is going to happen. We are bouncing from a support. But if you look at the RSI right now, you actually are forming a pattern. Okay, I do agree on that point. The market is moving to the upside. You have a bit more upside or room here in the RSI. Okay, great. But the RSI is actually trending to the downside when the price is making a double bottom. So that is a divergence there. So I'm like, maybe we may still have a rejection. Maybe we go through this support. That's fine. But, the broken support and then test the moving average. Maybe the moving average is going to kick us down or this resistance. Because unless the indicators show you that we are moving to the upside, this is going to be hard. Fine. Now, that's on a 3-day chart. Now you go zoom out on a weekly chart, which is the macro scenario there. You are like, okay, fine, let me take all of these out and look at the clear chart. In this one right now, this is all good. So that short term is going to be on a 3-day chart, where here on a weekly, you are turning slowly bullish. But the volume has to come in and agree on that bullishness. Unless we get that, that's still inside the pattern. Because for XRP, don't be euphoric, don't panic. We are still inside this pattern. Now, this particular pattern just extends a little bit. For those who don't have patience, it's going to be a little bit more harder. Because if we don't break to the upside here, we are going to consolidate within this pattern. We have a long time. Fine. But if we break higher with the market like we did last time, this is going to be fun inside this market. Because as we just discussed, Bitcoin can actually move higher 25-30%, and most likely also going to do 100 to 200% at the same time. Why? Because I think by that time altcoin is going to do 44% when Bitcoin does this 30%, and when altcoin does 44%, 45%, a lot of other coins are going to do 200%. So if you're on the right coins, or you're trying to at least avoid the wrong coins, you are fine. You're going to get at least the average movement in the market. That's still fine. You're doing fine. Now look at Ether. We are on a daily chart of Ether. You are testing the moving average here. Now all good. So your 20-day moving average, you are testing that one right now. So if you happen to slow down there, that's okay. That's normal. And take a day before we break to the upside, that's all normal, because price action happens like that. When you're trending to the upside, you come to the moving average, slow down there, and then you go higher, right? Because it also depends on your indicators. So you are looking at the indicators, what happened back in the time, and you are like, okay, fine, last time we had the MACD crossing to the upside, we were turning bullish. Right now we are just turning bullish before the test of the MACD, so that looks a bit more positive to break through. Now if you're breaking this one, yeah, you do have this line as your trend line resistance, so you're going to go test this one, which would be somewhere close to here if it's taking a bit more time, around $4,000, and then you're going to the all-time highs. All-time highs does sound exciting, but you need patience to reach there, otherwise you're not going towards that area. So if you do have patience, when we move through these, you will see market reaching a resistance, and at that point, if you can't take dump in the market, take some of your profits. This is one of the easiest stuff to do, but majority don't do this, right? So if you happen to move into a resistance, so you're going to reach here, which happens to be the previous price resistance point on a short-term pattern. If you're a short to medium-term trader, take that day. If you are a medium-term trader, take it at the macro resistance. So that's the all-time highs here for Ether, right? You go to your Bitcoin and you see like, okay, this is the short-term pattern. Now we zoom out, you get the macro one here. That's your macro resistance. So if you are reaching there, and you are in a lot of different assets, expect, okay, either we're going to break higher, or most likely we're going to slow down and correct a little bit down before we go higher. In both the cases, taking some profits in your portfolio is not bad. It's going to give you that leverage. And whenever you enter any asset, you need that leverage. So you look at a macro cap coin, say for example, you're going into Cardano. This is a Cardano chart coming up on the weekly. So when you look at Cardano on a weekly, the pattern which you observe is like this. You're moving to the downside. But right now, if you look at this, there is a huge possibility that the price is going to make a double bottom when the MACD is crossing to the upside. RSI is showing you a possibility of bullish checkmate pattern, which happens to be like this. Say for example, you trend to the downside, you do this, and then you go back up. So that is a bullish checkmate pattern. Now you go on, zoom in, enter a 3-day chart again. Now your double bottom pattern looks a bit more precise, right? It's coming up. Now it's not confirmed yet. Until you break this one, that pattern is not confirmed. And when we break to the upside, this is your measured move. You easily take that measured move from there, plot it here, say 63%, you come somewhere close to this one. That's actually great. Because if you know that the price is going to reach $2 and right now it's 0.87, that is an opportunity for you. Now, no one knows how many number of days it's going to take to reach there. You can look at the volume, you can look at a lot of different indicators to try and analyze maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days. But, you know, if you are entering into 3 days, saying you need the money back on the 4th, sometimes or the most of the time, majority of the times, the market goes against you. It may take 7 days. But still, if you wait that 7 days, you make this. At least in my country, the bank doesn't offer you 60%, even a month, right? You have to go for 10 months to get that. So this is a good deal, right? So in that sense, you have a lot of opportunities coming in. And that's one of the reasons why we are doing this. A lot of members we're talking about this because, yeah, the market is slow, the market is consolidating. When we're going up and then coming back down inside this consolidation, you still get time to make opportunities. Why? When Bitcoin goes down, yeah, the market slows down. But when Bitcoin goes up, the market also goes up. This is our expectation, and that's what just played out in the market, right? When we were trading, we understood, okay, this is going to bounce here, and even if we are not breaking to the upside, we may get bounce in the altcoins. That's why we entered some of the trades we already started exiting and moving into other trades, which looks okay for the time being. And given next 3 days, 5 days, we are going to do well. So if you want those kind of updates for your portfolio with a lot of assets in your portfolio, you can look at the link of Patreon in the description below. That's going to help you. And if you guys are receiving value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already, because here we are going for a typical journey of an investor. For some it takes 10 years, but in crypto we are trying to make that happen as soon as possible. But that doesn't mean you're going completely risky. Within the risky asset class, this is risky. Trading is risky, but you're trying to minimize your risk by balance your rewards and still target for those rewards which can compound with time. So you reaching 1 to 100 is a 100x option there. So guys, I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.